Today, we're going to talk about a company that's way more than just a business. It's a company whose stock ticker basically tells the story of an entire nation. We're talking about John Keells Holdings in Sri Lanka. So let's get into it and see how the fate of this one corporate giant is completely tied to the future of a whole country.
It's a huge question, right? How can one single company act like a mirror for an entire country's economy? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We're going to explore how the rise, the risks, and the future of John Keells are all wrapped up in the fate of Sri Lanka itself.
So to really get your head around John Keells, or JKH as everyone calls it, you first have to understand its sheer scale. It's not just a big company. People consider it a bellwether, which is just a fancy way of saying its health is a pretty good indicator of the entire country's economic health.
Now, JKH is what you call a conglomerate. And if that sounds a little jargony, don't worry, it's simple. It's just a massive parent company that has its hands in a whole bunch of different and sometimes totally unrelated businesses. So think of it less like a single tree and more like an entire ecosystem.
And you know, this giant wasn't built in a day. We're talking about a journey of over 150 years. It started out small, way back in the 1870s, and just kept evolving. From broking, it moved into logistics, then jumped into high-growth stuff like hotels and supermarkets. And now, in the 21st century, they're building projects that literally change the country's skyline.
Which brings us to what it looks like today. And honestly, the best way to picture JKH's reach is to think of it like a giant octopus. Seriously, its tentacles are in pretty much every major part of the Sri Lankan economy.
I mean, just look at this list. The scale is kind of mind-blowing. We're talking about the ports that bring goods into the country, the food on your table, the hotels you might stay in, even the tech that powers other businesses. JKH is there. And it's not just in these sectors, it's a market leader in almost all of them. Okay, let's make this personal. If you're an average person in Sri Lanka, you can't really go a day without bumping into a JKL company. You probably start by doing your weekly grocery run at a Keells supermarket.
On a hot day, you might be grabbing one of their iconic Elephant House soft drinks or some ice cream to cool down. Yep, that's JKH too.
Planning a vacation? A weekend away? Chances are you're scrolling through one of their cinnamon hotels. It's one of the biggest hotel chains in the entire region.
And get this, even the imported things you buy probably got here through a port terminal in Colombo that JKH helped build and now operates. Their influence is truly from the port right to your plate. It's just everywhere.
All right, so they're already dominant, but here's where the story gets really interesting. JKH is making these colossal bets on the future of Sri Lanka itself. And these aren't just regular business expansions, they feel more like nation-building projects.
And at the heart of this strategy are two just breathtakingly huge projects. First, you've got City of Dreams, this enormous resort and casino meant to completely change Colombo and attract high-spending tourists. And then there's the West Container Terminal, a deep-water port designed to make Sri Lanka the undeniable logistics hub for the whole region. These aren't just investments, they're legacy-defining bets on the nation's future. So, with a company this dominant making bets this big, what does the market think about it all? To understand that, well, we gotta look at the numbers. Okay, here's a quick look at the financials. You can see the massive scale in its market cap and revenue. But what's really fascinating here is the price-to-earnings ratio, or PE. For JKH, it's a sky-high 63.6, while the average for the rest of the market is way down at around 9.
This chart really drives that point home, doesn't it? Investors are willing to pay nearly 7 times more for $1 of JKH's earnings than they are for the average company on the stock market. So why? What's behind this huge premium?
And here's the key. A premium valuation like this is all about one thing: expectation. The market isn't just buying JKH for what it is today, it's buying it for what it believes it will become tomorrow. It's a huge vote of confidence in the company's future. But, and you knew there was a but coming, that future isn't guaranteed. For JKH, the road ahead is really a tale of two different possibilities. One is filled with immense opportunity, and the other is loaded with significant risk. So what's driving all that positive feeling? It really boils down to 4 powerful growth engines. First, that City of Dreams resort has to deliver on its promise as a tourist magnet. Second, the expanded port has to grab a bigger slice of all that regional trade. Third, the supermarket chain needs to continue its aggressive growth. And fourth, you've got this wild card, a new partnership with the electric vehicle giant BYD, a bet on a totally new green tech market.
But of course, it's a high-wire act. All of that incredible potential is balanced by some very real risks. The company's success is completely tethered to Sri Lanka's economic and political stability. Any hiccup there sends ripples right through JKH. A global travel scare could ground their tourism dreams instantly. And let's not forget, those massive projects were financed with a mountain of debt, which puts a ton of pressure on them to perform and perform fast.
Still, the biggest thing they have going for them is the health of the nation itself. With Sri Lanka's economy projected to grow over 5%, JKH is in the absolute perfect position to ride that wave of recovery and growth across all its businesses.
Which brings us right back to our central idea. JKH has woven itself so deeply into the fabric of Sri Lanka that one simply can't succeed without the other. Their fortunes are tied together. So the ultimate question for any investor and for the country itself remains, will they rise together?